Wealth Without Wall Street listeners. Today, we're honing in on you, the business owner and entrepreneur. And you're going to walk away from this episode knowing 5 things that I'm talking about the guy or gal that you really cannot afford to replace, your top employees need before they commit to you and your business. And also because we love educating you and seeing your business succeed, you're going to discover one single strategy that hits all 5 things and results in you keeping your top employees. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let the handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Here are your hosts, Russ Morgan, Joey Murray, and Will DeShazer. Good morning, afternoon, or night, guys. This is Will, your money millinovator, sitting in the office studio with passionate passive income coach and educator Russ Morgan and national real estate financial coach Joey the Stallion Murray. I'm doing swell today, guys. We finally have a working coffee maker, despite the fact that Joey just informed me that we're out of whole beans. What's happening with you guys? I see the iPad's out today.
Man, we're just getting slow start this morning, I guess.
Well, you've got a birthday in the family.
I do, yeah. Little Chapel, my now 4-year-old, she just turned 4 this morning, and the house is covered in unicorn pictures. She loves unicorns.
Did she get the unicorn frappuccino when they did that whole thing? I hope not.
She did not,
because she would be bouncing off the wall.
Yeah. My wife, my kids, they slow play me on this sort of stuff, Joey. I went by Starbucks the other day, and
you went to Starbucks?
I know I'm kind of anti Starbucks, but I needed a sugar rush. And I was on my way through there, and the kids were like, "Hey, Dad, can you get us that unicorn drink?" I'm like, "Unicorn drink?" And I asked the person on the thing, like, "Is there such thing as a unicorn drink?" And they're like, "Yes, there is, but we're out." I'm like, "All right, sorry, kids." I go home, and my wife is like, "Yeah, never give them that. It's got like more sugar in that one drink than they're supposed to have in like a week's worth of like sugar."
It is not Trim Healthy Mama. Trim Healthy Unicorn Mama.
Yeah. That's no bueno.
So, yes, happy birthday to Chapel today.
That's awesome. How old is she?
4. She's turned 4 today.
And she's an avid golfer. Am I right? Is it Chapel or is it?
She's not avid.
But she is a golfer.
I have a little sawed off putter that I will take her to the putting green and putt with her for a little bit. And she actually really likes it. So I'm crossing my fingers.
So you've learned everything from her on the putting green.
No. She's loving it though.
Well, guys, today we're talking about business owners. And so many times people think businesses fail because they don't reach the right audience, or they fail because their cash flow is in a crunch and they're tight. But you guys both work exclusively with business owners of some sort or entrepreneurs, and you're seeing something totally different than that, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite books, Will, and I introduced this book to Joey, I guess it was maybe almost 2 years ago now, 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
The book, The Entrepreneur Rollercoaster by Darren Hardy. And he's such a great author because he's constantly interviewing the most successful business owners, entrepreneurs around the country. And he wrote this book that was based upon that roller coaster ride of emotions and the activities that we deal with as entrepreneurs and business owners. And one section, he started talking about if you're trying to recruit or retain employees, like what are they really looking for? And having been an employee at one point in my career and then being a business owner, I started resonating with so many of his points. And like the first one that he always lists is like the top thing top employees want is they want to work with other top employees. And you think about that, if you look around at the Zappos, the Googles, these like highly innovative companies, and like, the HubSpots and these really creative groups that are around the country, it's not that they're paying the most money, but they are recruiting the top talent. And that top talent wants to continue working with other people. And so it just kind of made me think, what are we doing in our jobs, and how are we helping our clients take this information and apply it? Because at the end of the day, we want our clients to be as successful as we can, and you want to be successful as a business owner, but you got to be able to recruit and retain the top employees that exist.
Right. And I think what that spoke to me is more about culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a place that top employees or top talent feel comfortable being at, or feel like they have a voice in, or, take ownership of, they're not going to stay long.
No, I tell you what, I interviewed a guy who has founded an ice cream company here in Birmingham, Big Spoon Creamery. A lot of you guys might know. Awesome dude. But he has, and that's on the Millennials podcast, but he has got a passion for culture and teaching people, right? He wants to have people grow personally. Obviously, there's only a limit you can grow professionally in an ice cream shop, right? So, he's hiring part-time college kids to work for him, but he is diving in deep if you're going to be on that team, because to him, the most important thing is people. And he believes that he can't give back to people and his customers without having the right guys on his team and then pouring into them to grow personally and professionally. And that's a part of what Darren Hardy talks about, if I'm not mistaken.
It goes into like the second point he makes, his own vision. Your company has to have a great vision, and that vision has to resonate with those employees. So he has a vision that's going to be growing his employees, which is ultimately going to be growing their business. And the people that he's attracting to come work for him are buying into that. I mean, every Monday, in our office, we sit down and we go through what we believe in. We believe in abundance versus scarcity. We believe in solving problems, listening to people. We believe in doing what we say we're going to do, and on and on and on. And we take that and we spread that amongst our team to make sure everybody understands what our vision is. And it's very clear, but it's very collaborative. And I know that, you're talking about the Millennials, and you've done a lot of research and shared with me these sort of things, Will, is that millennials want to be very collaborative. They want to be a part of a group.
Community.
They don't like doing things solo, and they want to jump in on vision, and they want to get active, and they want to see results really quickly, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the goal, like you said, they want to be around other A players, and you only want people on your team who are A players, regardless of if you are a 8-figure marketing group. Noah Kagan runs this company called AppSumo, and only hires the best of the best. He does not pay them the best of the best. In fact, when he founded that company, I think he only took like 40 grand to pay himself the first 3 or 4 years. And he sat there and said to the press, people make it seem like these guys who are founding these companies, with Amazon, founder of Amazon, he was packing books the whole first year. It's not about what you're paying your employees necessarily. It's about the company culture and environment that you're creating. But how can you keep them there? Yeah. Right? And how can they thrive there?
Well, I can tell you this. It doesn't start with just basic run-of-the-mill ideas. And what we've been talking about for every episode is the Wall Street mindset, that we have to break free from that. We have to really think outside of the box, and the ideas that are being pumped to us, like the traditional 401k plan, for instance. I mean, who hasn't worked at a company wasn't offered a 401k plan, but as we are all products of the fact that we are no longer at companies that we originally started at when we first came out of school, as the 401k plans are just terrible retention plans. I mean, Joey, you were actually a client of mine years ago, and the company you were at had a 401k plan. You had a lot of money there, and we started talking about it, and you realize a couple of things. One, you can get your money, and at the end of the day, it didn't keep you there to make you the employee that wanted.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the more you kind of delve into 401k, just speaking from the employee side, not even from the employer side, which I know we're going to cover on this podcast. As an employee, you feel like, one, it's first of all the only thing you know. Like when you sign up, what's the first thing when you sit down or your first week of orientation? It's like, hey, we got to do our benefits package. Oh, by the way, here's this deal. And I guess everybody's doing it and everybody's supposed to do it. And actually, it's a good deal for me. But when you really start to unpack as an employee, I'm literally putting money away every month that I no longer can access. It's invested in things that I don't understand, don't have time to understand, and have typically mostly limited places I can actually invest it. And it's not anything that I know. So, I mean, we talk about return on information, ROI here a lot. If your information is low, your risk is high. And so, yeah, just from my standpoint, it limited me from things I wanted to invest in, and it put me in a lot more risk.
Well, going back to what we were just talking about, Will, you've done research on millennials. What's the percentage of millennials that are invested in the market?
Stupid low.
And then from what you were sharing with me the other day, it had based upon they don't trust the financial system, right? So
yeah. How many times have they been burned? 2000. They saw their parents being laid off in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Why would you throw money at something you don't know anything about?
Well, when you've got this group that's now exceeded, they are now the largest generation that exists, larger than the great generation, the baby boomer generation. The millennials have now taken over that largest generation that is in the workforce and is actually living today, and they don't believe in the market. They don't invest in the market, but yet as employers, we keep providing 401k plans that only can invest in the market. Like, that doesn't make sense to me as I'm looking at this. And we talk about this all the time. There's got to be a new generation of plans that meet the new generation of employees. And that to me is the one area that I want us to continue to hit, because as employers, if you realize who you're targeting, which is your workforce, and they are these millennials, and you're trying to target, the key workers, and they don't trust the stock market, they don't invest in it personally, having a plan in place
to incentivize them.
It doesn't make sense. And ultimately, if they do invest in it, because it's the only option they have, and when it does bust again, which it will, we all know it will, when it does bust again, what does that do? Is that going to enhance their morale in the workforce? Is it going to lower it?
No.
Well, and how well did that work out for the company you were with, Joey, that you had a 401k at, right?
Yeah. I mean,
did that keep you there?
No, it was never even a question of, hey, I'm thinking about leaving, and I wonder if that 401k is going to be coming with. No,
do those assets stay with them?
It was a portable plan. I use that word. It's portable because everybody knows that you can take it with you. If it was really designed for creating loyalty, now we're speaking to business owners, right? From that, if you're putting in a plan that's designed to try to help create loyalty that is portable, it doesn't create loyalty.
No, it doesn't at all. And we're sitting here, we're talking about what business owners can do to retain and recruit top employees, and the systems, the Wall Street mindset of products that are being continuously pushed out through don't meet the expectations. They don't meet the expectations of the employees who want them. They don't meet the expectations of the employers. But what else are there? Because we're sitting here, I'm looking at this list. Number 4 on this list is top employees want to grow personally and professionally with their companies, right?
That's right.
Well, how are you helping them grow personally and professionally through some outdated system like a 401k? Help me understand how that helps them grow in any shape or form. Like, what is it that their family really sees the value of? Is it that maybe they go over and they take their kid, instead of to the beach, they take them and look at their 401k statement and say, here, son, let's look at this. And, envisioning us in 30 years when I'm past 59 and a half, us spending this money.
When you have a wife and kids. Well, let's run through those real quick, 1 through 5, because Darren Hardy lists the number one thing that top A, he calls them A employees, right?
Right.
What they're seeking, 1 through 5. The first one is they want to work with other A players. Does the 401k help that?
I don't see how it will. I mean, especially if they're millennials, they don't really care about the whole investment
that doesn't recruit
aspect of it. So
people.
I wouldn't say that would, no.
So number 2, they want to work with a company with vision. And not a vision of what the 401k projects. I don't think is what he's referring to.
Yeah, I don't see how that would help with it, either positive or negatively. No.
Right. So number 3, the third most important, they want to be challenged to do really great, valuable work.
Yeah.
Again,
back to the culture.
Dice. Yeah.
Number 4, they want to grow both personally and professionally, which we hit on earlier. And you definitely just said there's no way that a 401k is helping you grow personally.
No, I mean, the one thing that people
Today,
push on the 401k, and remember, I come from a certified financial planning background, right? So I was early on in my investment career was, taught by wholesalers of these big, huge mutual fund companies, hey, you need to go out and recruit businesses to do 401k business with you, because you can get all these assets under management. You can make huge fees, which when I say huge fees, I mean huge fees. Go out and do some research on the fees within 401ks. It's staggering. It's no wonder why people don't make money in them, because they have to overcome 2%, 3%, 4% sometimes in fees alone. They don't stop. There's so many levels to it. It's not like you're just dealing with the mutual fund company. You're dealing with the third-party administrator. You're dealing with the advisor and the plan. You're dealing with the regulation just to set up the plan. It's ridiculous, the fees in these things. Well, I mean, they were constantly telling me this is how I need to go out and try to recruit businesses. But as a business owner, all I'm trying to do is figure out how can I get my employees to stay, and how can I recruit new ones to come to me? Well, here's the only option that exists, right? I must use this. I must use this government created plan, which, by the way, I don't know if people realize the government created this plan through the Revenue Act of 1978, which happened to be founded by a guy with Johnson Murphy and Company, Johnson and Johnson Company, who yeah. I'm always thinking about shoes, swag. and he created basically out of the language in this Revenue Act of how to start these plans. Well, these things are not created for us.
That's you and I revenue, right?
Yeah.
As the person who's participating in the plan.
The business owner, they're definitely making the money.
The Revenue Act of what did you say, 76?
78, yeah.
78. That's for you and I.
Yeah. Yeah, you and I as taxpayers are playing that. Well, but as a business owner, you're taught by, these financial advisors, well, here's how you're going to keep your employees. You're going to give them a match, and they're going to love it, man. Nobody else is going to give them a match in this 401k plan because it's so unique. Nobody else has it, right? And nobody else gives a match, and so that's why they're going to come stay at your job.
I bet you in 1978 or 1980 or 1984, this was just brilliant. I would go to a job for that.
It was brilliant, right? But
now, I think I could go work at Publix or any other grocery store at this point. And what's the difference in the company? They all have 401ks.
Every single one of them, because they've all been pushed this down their throat. And now we see workforce turning over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And we realize, as you said earlier, Joey, that these things are portable. It doesn't retain them. The next companies offer it. Now it becomes the thing where, it used to be, this company's paying me an extra $1 per hour or whatever, extra $10,000 per year in salary. Now it's this one's matching, 3% versus 2%. It is just the nuance behind it. At the end of the day, it's not a recruiting tool or a retention tool. It's just another way for Wall Street to get fees. And they're doing a pretty good job of that.
Oh, they're crushing it right now.
Well, and so the fifth and final that Darren Hardy mentions, and this is the least important. So basically what he's telling us is if you as a business owner can hit all four of those, the fifth one is just secondary thought. The employee wants to be fairly compensated.
I was shocked by that. I don't know about other business owners, but I just have in my mind that compensation is so important. And for that to be number 5 on the list, that was pretty impactful to me.
It is, and it's not. This morning, I had a conversation with a guy who talked about leaving a company that he's been with. Talked about leaving a company that he's been with, and the number one reason, his wife said that she asked him, let me ask you, if the company that you're leaving matches the offer of the company that you're going to, would you stay? And he said no. He said the stress and the relationship deterioration within his current job has made it so to where he needs to leave.
The culture.
It's culture.
Yeah, exactly.
But I went and asked deeper questions of this, which goes straight back to what Darren Hardy said. I said, well, how did that start? He said, we started as a company that was going to be small, dedicated to value, helping our customers. And now we've become a culture of fast-paced, revenue-driven, 100%, go faster, go bigger. And they're creating layers of management that's that's taken him away from being able to visit with the end customer and do what he really loves to do. Goes back to exactly what we're talking about earlier, is not driven based upon pay. Even though he has relationships within this company, if they match his pay, all those other things are more important to him than the dollar and cents. And we know that. So we've got to figure out as business owners, how can we keep our employees and attract them through means that have more to do than that. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not great at knowing how to do all of those things. But I do know that, Joey, you and I have been investing a lot of time over the last several months into employee retention and recruiting plans. And I'd love for us to delve into this, because I think this is something, there's going to be some white papers for you to go look at. There's some webinars that we've put together that you can go watch and things on this subject matter. But to me, this is such a great topic for today's conversations. We're talking about how to retain and recruit employees. And what are some ways, Joey, that you have found as we've been doing this research that we can actually hit a couple of these marks on this top 5 list that Darren Hardy has?
Yeah. Well, you may not have even said this, but the first 4 things, we're not going to necessarily be able to teach you how to provide that culture. We're not going to teach you how to have a vision that's big enough to, help those employees grow and reach their potential. A lot of that you're going to have to figure out yourself. But I think under the compensation, we've already beat up on the 401k, right? Now, we haven't really hit on it from the business owner side. So as a business owner, we talked about the employee side and why there's so many limitations and things like that. But as a business owner, and Will, we've been talking about this, Russ, what are some of the things why people do it as an employer? Why are they drawn to it? Has a lot to do with the immediate tax deductions, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's their big
short-term thinking.
Yeah. It's, hey, today I get a tax deduction, but there's a lot of negatives. What are some of the things that we can share about that?
Well, Russ just mentioned the fees.
Yeah.
Oh, those are
the hippopotamus-sized fees, right?
Well, the fees. I mean, as an employee, you're told to do it because you're going to get to put in money into this tax deferral system, and what a great benefit that's going to be to you. And you're going to get the same matching dollars, which, by the way, as a business owner, you're just matching your own dollars. So it's your own money. So you're not getting a return on that. And at the end of the day, if it's about you, if all you're thinking about, which, by the way, hey, look, Adam Smith, in his book, Wealth of Nations, talks about we all have selfish motivation and everything that we do. And as a result of that, we unintentionally end up helping people. So I get that whole aspect that we are selfish and that, we do things. But when we're being told by advisors out there, hey, go ahead and match your employee stuff that allows you to put more money in this plan. Well, at what cost? So if I truly only want to help myself as a business owner and I want to have to put in 3% for every employee out there, so that ends up costing me $50,000 just so I can put in $50,000 in this plan, like do the math on that, guys. That doesn't make sense. Like, what is it costing you just to put in money in this own plan? Because we already identified it's not recruiting and retaining the employees. And that's not really the way it's even being sold now to a lot of business owners. Is, hey, you need a deferral, you need the tax deduction, you need to be able to put more money in these plans, you need to match your employees so you can do that. That's become the new wave because they know that they can no longer sell the idea of it's new, that nobody else is doing it. Everybody else is doing it. Can't sell that anymore, so they have to twist it a little bit.
Well, and I think another thing to point out, maybe a con here, is as business owners, access to capital is critical. So if we're constantly putting these matches and this money away on behalf of these employees, we immediately are changing ownership of those dollars, right? Those dollars go right out the door.
Yeah.
Never to be used for equipment purchases, never to be used for expansion, never to be used for any of the things that we always need capital for as business owners. So not only do we lose immediate access, but when that employee leaves, it's gone. We've lost it forever. And we really think there's got to be a better way than that.
Well, think about this as a business owner. What about the dollars you put in your own plan? It's gone too, right? I mean, you've now taken dollars out of your own hands. And now that's being sold as a good idea. But again, as business owners, at what point in time is it a bad idea to have access to money?
Right.
We live
in a place that you can control, because this is all out of your control.
We're all living in a cash flow need world, and we don't know when the next downturn is going to happen. We better be prepared for it.
No doubt.
I just don't see how these traditional plans are meeting those needs. They're not meeting the needs of our employees, and they're not meeting the needs of us, but we continue to buy them.
That's right.
Why are we making the same mistakes over and over and over again? Is it because we don't have any new ideas? Well, is there a new idea?
There are, yeah. And I want to hit on a couple of them, and we're not going to necessarily belabor these. I think we can always provide more resources. But one of the things that people have done in general is the non-qualified deferred comp plans. Now, that's a big mouthful. Just to kind of sum it up, it'd be basically this is funded by employer-owned life insurance, and they provide control that business owners seek, but they can be really, really costly. They're somewhat complex, a lot of documents and things of that nature that have to be put in place.
There's no tax deduction, right?
No, it defers it. It defers the deduction until the employer actually transfers the benefit to the employee.
So that's a non-qualified deferred compensation plan?
That's right.
You see some of these with higher paid executives. Banks now are starting to implement these sort of plans. They're giving some different kind of bonuses, opportunities where they basically are deferring, Joey, instead of paying you an extra $20,000 a year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to defer that $20,000 a year for 20 years. And then when you get out or, you retire, then we're going to pay you this either in some sort of lump sum or some sort of monthly payout, right? And so as a company, I have some sort of retentionary plan there, and you're basically taking a little bit less in pay throughout your working years. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
That's right. Absolutely. So there's challenges with that from the employer side for sure. The other one that I think you kind of hear more of these days is executive bonus plans. And those are a little bit more simple. They can provide an immediate tax deduction, but they don't really give the employer control to truly incentivize their employees.
When you say don't give them control, like what is the main area? I'm assuming based upon that, because they're giving them the money for the immediate tax deduction, then the employee now has the money.
They can do what they want.
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost the same challenge we have with the 401k in that regard.
Yeah. I've seen those implemented, and I think the same challenges exist where it's not going to retain them, because if they can leave at any point, they can take that money with them. Well, you and I have taken these two plans, and we really kind of tried to figure out, is there some sort of in between? Is there a way for us to give some of the benefits, the positives of both of those kind of strategies, but meet some of these other? Because I know this. I was sitting there the other day helping my wife interview an employee for her dental practice, and one of the biggest keys is that great employees are looking for some sort of retirement thing, but they want to know that you're investing in them long term.
Yep.
And the plan that we are implementing, which is the one you and I have been doing the research on, is based upon providing a benefit to the employee in the event something happens to them while they're working, to their family, right? We're going to say, hey, not only will you, if you work here and you're loyal to us for some extended period of time, will we pay you out this large bonus or, retirement plan, whatever you want to call it. But if something happens to you and you don't make it, then we're going to pay you, and we're going to keep paying your family. And now you have something where it starts meeting some of these other lines where you're saying, if we're able to help your family in addition to yourself, is that a value to you, right?
Yeah. Just to kind of to clarify some of what you just said, there's really two pieces of it. It's a dual executive reward plan. So the first part you mentioned was there's an immediate death benefit. It's a life insurance policy that is owned by the company on that key employee, but the employer and the employee are agreeing to split the death benefit while they're in service, so to speak, or the time that they've committed to your company, so that you're helping them protect their family against their premature death. And you're also protecting your interest in that employee. Because we've talked about this before, but somebody that's a highly compensated executive, per se, there's studies out there, 210% of their salary is what it costs to replace them. So can you imagine if one of them were to die prematurely, to have this death benefit there to help kind of, with that storm? They may have been really important to your revenue. And now that that's gone, you've got this death benefit that's there. So That's a huge benefit.
Well, one of the things I liked about it as we started looking through this, the business owner, us as business owners, can actually set up our compensation model for these sort of things for those specific key employees. Because the thing is that not every employee in our offices and our businesses are key. I mean, not that we don't love them, but at the end of the day, some people are replaceable and some people are not. And the way these other plans that are through what the government calls ERISA, they regulate what we have to do. We may have to do the same thing for everybody versus for some people, we can actually identify and say, hey, you know what, Will, you're such a key employee that I want to provide this specific benefit just to you. And the government can't say, no, you can't do that. You can't discriminate against these other 4 people that work in your office. You have to do the same thing for everybody. Not with this, because these plans are not subject to all those same government regulation, which, by the way, means less fees, less oversight, all this
more
stuff.
Control.
Oh,
Finally.
Yeah,
right?
no. Well, but then here's the thing. Going back to our thing. You want your employees to be challenged to do good work. You want them to grow personally and professionally. Well, you know what, Will, if you're really doing good work within the company, you're doing great work within our company, I can adjust this compensation model that you're going to get paid out in the future based upon that number. There's limits to really what I can put into your quote unquote 401k plan or whatever it may be. And I really can't tie it in there because it's going to be way too difficult, because I'm going to have to call some third party administrator and say, hey, this month Upwill's match the 4%. I mean, like that. No, that would be too costly, too labor intensive. You're not ever going to do it. But with this is like literally an agreement that you're making with this person. So changing the number on the page is pretty darn easy. I mean, anybody got Word, and you can edit Word. I mean, this is a document that could be adjusted and signatures from 2 parties, and this could be done.
Well, how about the idea, again, that cash flow, and you guys, again, are exclusively working with business owners oftentimes, cash flow is just lifeblood, right? And Joe had mentioned earlier that when you're matching dollars in a 401k plan, those dollars are gone. You are never, ever, ever utilizing those ever again. So can you guys talk a little bit about how these business owners and you guys are able to use this money while incentivizing your employees? How is that even possible?
All right. So first, before we get to that, the second part of this dual executive reward for a reason. The first one is that life insurance kind of agreement that you're agreeing to. And the second is an actual bonus agreement. As you mentioned, it can be changed. You can set it up for as long as you want. I mean, it could be 10 years, 15, 20, whatever time frame you as the business owner decide. And here's the other part. It really speaks to that employee in terms of their greatest need. I'll give you an example. We have a business owner that came to us. He really had a 55-year-old and a 38-year-old. So there's a pretty big age discrepancy between the two, but both of them were key for very different reasons. Well, the 38-year-old is looking at 15 years from now for his kids' sake. Mm-hmm. Hey, paying for college is a big weight on him. So for the business owner to go to that employee and say, hey, man, I really want to make this worth your while. I'm going to go ahead and take care of saving for your kids' college. How big of an impact does that make?
That's personal growth, in my opinion.
That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for him to put that number out there and say, man, in 15 years, I'm committed to you. This is what I'm going to put there for you. Maybe it's $150,000 or something. That takes a load off of him today from a stress standpoint. But the 55-year-old, on the other hand, is staring down retirement. And she's like, I don't know if I'm really prepared. So for him to say, hey, look, I want to create a retirement engine for you that you don't have to contribute to. Mm-hmm. That's big.
Well, Joey, a lot of people are going to ask you, well, what happens when they don't complete the service period? What if he leaves in year 12?
That's the beauty, because this is a separate agreement. This is that second part of the agreement. This is the golden handcuffs, quote unquote. And if you could see me, I'm actually doing the
bunny ears
there, right?
Bunny ears.
But golden
good
handcuffs, that it's an all or nothing thing. Right? There's not, hey, if you make it 7 years, I'll give you 75%. Mm-hmm. It's all or nothing. And that's my commitment to you is 100%. Your commitment to me is 100%.
So you didn't lose those dollars is what you're telling me.
100%.
If that agreement is not fulfilled, you have got the dollars.
That's right.
Well, but here's a good part about that. If you have those dollars, Joey, can you use those dollars? I mean, right now we have young children, right? I have my oldest is 11 and your oldest is 10. My youngest is 4. Your youngest is 2, right?
That's right.
We've got some years between when those kids need college, for instance, if that's our determination. Us parking money in a place and not touching it for 7 years or 16 years in your youngest child's situation, that doesn't make financial sense for you not to use those dollars. All the opportunities that will come across you and your wife's plate over the next 16 years just to say, oh, those dollars are just earmarked completely, can never be used for anything else for retirement. That's so bad, right? Well, what we're talking about with business owners is why take our dollars and segment them off? Why not have a dollar that we're wanting to save for, downturns in the economy? We want to have dollars to allow us to expand, but we also need dollars to apply for our employees. Why not allow those dollars to work all in one vehicle and give us access to it? Because really, the reality is that we need money in 12 to 15 years for these employees when we need to fulfill these obligations. But in 5 years, when there's opportunity to expand the business, take advantage of it. Use those same dollars where if I would have put that money in a 401k plan or one of these other executive bonus plans for whatever reason,
It's gone.
and it's gone, I can't use those dollars.
That's right.
Now, people may say, well, Russ, what happens if my company goes under and I can't fulfill the obligation? Well, that's one of those things. The employee knows if the company is not viable, is not in business, then they are forfeiting those things. And if they're bought in for the success and the vision of the company, they want the
They're
company.
driving you.
They want the company to grow because they want to grow with it.
Mhm.
And to me, this is the best way to use number 2 on that list is they want to work for a company with vision that resonates with them. If they don't care about the company and it doesn't resonate with them, they don't care if it's growing, then really they're not bought into the long-term goal of it anyway. It's not the right employee. So to me, as we look at this plans, these dual executive reward plans, I know we need to wrap up, but you're going to share with them, I think, in resources, some of these items that we have.
Yeah, so you just mentioned people not resonating. A lot of people don't resonate with audio, right? A lot of people say, man, I got to learn this another way. This is ridiculous. You're just coming through my car speakers on the way to work, or I'm sitting here at home with my earbuds on, or I'm by the pool learning about this. This doesn't resonate with me. Well, you're in luck because we love teaching. Both of you guys, all 3 of us really are in the business of educating. That's our primary goal. And if we sit in our Monday morning meeting, like you mentioned earlier, Russ, that's one of the things that we do is we educate, and we're not afraid of that. So we have got both a guide, like almost like an ebook download that you can download that has really awesome visuals and a little bit more detail about each of these things that we've talked about today in the show notes. And because, not everybody learns from audio, not everybody learns from reading, well, we took the dignity to create a video. So we have got a video webinar previously recorded just for you guys. Now, I will say this webinar is recorded because it's in high demand and we can't just do this every single day for everybody to be live. So we recorded it to where you can watch it wherever you are and wherever you want to be. So check out the show notes to learn everything you need about the Dual Executive Reward Plan. And we will talk to you guys during the next episode. Any last words, fellas?
I'm just telling you right now, I am so excited that we're in sun season. I am ready to get out on the golf course or on the beach.
I'm hiding. I got so sunburned Saturday. you guys ought to see my chest. It is bright red. Well, good stuff. We're looking forward to seeing you guys next time on the next episode. And don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes. If you haven't reviewed us yet, whether you hate us or you love us, maybe it'll even out as a 3-star review. Leave us a review. We thrive off of those. We get better from those. We'll see you next episode. This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your terms in places you understand so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.